This podcast is brought to you by School Device Coverage, the #1 insurer of school devices in America. To learn more, visit schooldevicecoverage.com.
Welcome to Risky Business. I'm Kathy Kaler.
And I'm Bliss Landon.
And today we have a risky replay.
Yes, we do. And this is a good one.
It is very good because it is so timely right now with school getting back into session, kids carrying their devices, and what do you got to put on them?
Yes. And that's extremely important, is to look into buying cases for the devices. It adds an extra layer of protection. We are partnered with Oliver Page from NutKase, and he explains the testing that he went through. I think he threw one off of a 2-story building to see what would happen. It didn't break. Anyway, he has a great product, and he's also got a little recipe for his secret pasta sauce.
So tune in.
Well, because he's from Italy. So anyway, this is a great episode. Very informative. Please take a listen. Thank you.
Enjoy. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Risky Business. I'm Kathy Kaler and
I'm Bliss Landon.
Welcome to this episode. We're super excited. We have another very, very exciting guest.
Yes, we do.
I can't believe how much this gentleman does.
I know.
It's extraordinary.
A major entrepreneur. Yes.
It's 2 pages.
He is.
It's crazy. How have you been?
I've been great. And you've been traveling. And I've missed you. You're back.
I'm back.
Okay.
Back in time for estate sales.
Yes. Okay. We got to go this weekend.
Which we have to go.
Yes, we need to go.
But I was in Kentucky, and the weather there was actually nicer than it is here.
Well, the picture you just showed me looks beautiful.
Gorgeous.
So nice.
Blue sky, everything blooming.
Oh, very nice.
Lovely.
All right. Well, I'm glad you had a good trip.
I did. Well, we want to introduce our friend who is actually joining us on a Zoom call all the way from Florida.
Yes.
Oliver Page is, he founded a first startup called NutKase.
Yes.
You guys are working with them.
Yes.
It's so cool to, like, you also an entrepreneur, Oliver, obviously an entrepreneur. It's very, I just think inspiring and empowering to hear stories of how someone started a company.
Absolutely.
And Oliver started when he was 17. So Oliver, welcome to Risky Business. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So Oliver and NutKase have become a partner of ours, and we are kind of packaging the insurance with the case and providing a total solution to school districts out there. And so, Oliver, I guess, first of all, just tell us about you and how you got into this business. It's very interesting to see. I mean, why did you start developing cases to protect, devices?
Absolutely. So, I was born and raised in Italy. Both my parents are from the States, and they're both entrepreneurs. They moved to Italy when they were in their 30s. Actually, they were there for they went there for 1 year as a sabbatical year, fell in love with the place, and they've been there for like the last 35 years. So
wow.
I was born and raised there, spent high school, elementary school there. And I was never that academic in school. I mean, I was a good student, but I wasn't that into academics. And when I was a high school student, I was a huge Apple fan. I was a huge Apple nerd. And I was able to convince my parents to have a family friend ship over a iPad 1 right when it came out to Rome. Italy is a great country, the food, the wine, the culture. But when it comes to, at least back then, product releases, new Apple products being brought to market, they were always like 6 to 9 months behind. So So I ended up getting one of these iPads, and I remember that at the time that the iPad was shipped, the case that was supposed to go along with it got held up during that massive Icelandic volcanic eruption that took place
Oh,
back in like
yes.
Oh, yeah.
And no
2011.
one could fly across because of the
And
smoke.
I remember that.
exactly. So like all air travel was halted.
Right.
Everything was, grinded to a stop. And I remember that the iPad case that I had asked these friends to send over was also never shipped. So
Mm.
I was using a neoprene sleeve in school, and I was probably the first kid in Italy to have one of these things. I was pretty excited about it. And I remember distinctly being at the coffee bar because being in Rome, you have to have a coffee bar in school. I remember being at the
That's so
coffee
cool.
bar, having
So
having an
cool.
espresso in 11th grade, and I remember a kid running into me and knocking the iPad out of my hand.
Oh,
And it was a very traumatizing experience. By some miracle, it survived the fall.
wow.
But that was like my high school kind of inception aha moment for I need a case that keeps this slippery tablet attached to my hand. So that was like the preliminary idea for a product. There was no NutKase back then. There was no brand. There was no company. There was no big idea outside of how do I come up with some sort of contraption that sticks this iPad and keeps it attached to my hand.
Wow.
So designed a, cocktail nap, just in my bedroom, coming up with design ideas, sketching out concepts. And lo and behold, we kind of came up with a nice idea. I came up with a nice idea for an iPad case that would have these kind of this cross strap in the form of an X that allows you to slip it on. And I showed my parents; they were enthusiastic. I was in the process of applying to colleges and exploring that. So they were like, you know what, obviously, we want to encourage Oliver on his entrepreneurial ideas and whatnot. And, if he's really passionate about it, we'll finance whatever the cost is to make a prototype. And if it starts to, evolve into an actual business, good deal. But if it doesn't, at least it'll be a great, story to put on his college application, and he can talk about that in the process. So
Sure.
my parents were very supportive. I have awesome parents. I'm very lucky. And so whatever it was, I think it was like $300 to, source a prototype of this idea from some random supplier I found on Alibaba. And that was, summer of 2011, I think, and that was, back in high school. I got the product, I iterated, I started, finding ways to improve it. And I ultimately, went door to door to different Apple stores in Rome and got, pre-orders for the product.
Wow.
Amazing.
So
That's awesome.
that was, because, back then the Apple stores in Rome didn't even have the iPad yet. And so it was like a very early stage concept. There was a bit of a novelty factor of a kid kind of doing it. So that is how, NutKase really in its earliest days really got started.
And at that point, did you have the name NutKase?
No, not yet.
And how did you
Actually,
develop that? Yeah.
I think by the time we received our first shipment of like 500 cases, we had the NutKase name, NutKase with a K, very important.
Right.
Let's talk about the K.
NutKase with a K, because NutKase with a C was already taken by a helmet company.
Oh, geez.
Who, that is what it is. But I named it after myself. I'm a bit of a nutcase, and there's not much more to the naming story other than coming up with something that it was a catchy idea, it was a catchy name back then, and so far it's stuck. So
That's fantastic.
So fast forwarding, finished high school, the iPad 2 came out. I made a design for the iPad 2, and the big home run, like the biggest order we received was from my elementary school, who had just bought a bunch of iPads. I heard about an alumni making cases. And that was when we kind of caught wind of like, wait a second, maybe this isn't going to be the only school that's buying iPads, and we can roll this out to other schools. I mean, it was very early stage. I mean, we never even, this was one of our first our first big account was my school in Rome. It was an American international school called Ambrit, a really great school. And so that was kind of the validation that also got me thinking about my first trip to China and, packing my bags, going there. I remember, I think my first trip I went over there was with my father, who was supporting me in the project. And then after high school, I took a gap year. I didn't want to go to school right away. I wanted to work on the business. And so I took a gap year. I went to China for about a year and explored the manufacturing scene, built some more prototypes, expanded my network, kind of looked behind, got to really see behind the curtain what it's like to be over there and work with the suppliers. And it is a really eye-opening experience. It was an eye-opening experience for me doing it when I was 18 and gave me a lot of
I
respect.
can't even imagine. Was your father in this type of entrepreneurial business, or
no?
How did he jump
was
in?
Real estate. Yeah, he was in real estate for most of his career, and then he and so the story goes, after my gap year, I went to college, and in the crisis that took place, I forget what happened, but my father essentially saw some of the success we were having with the business and essentially was like, I'll join full time too. So he quit his job, joined.
Amazing.
Wow.
And, obviously in high school, he was supporting me as more of like a fatherly figure. But when a couple of years later, he joined full time and we became a father-son team working on the business. And at this point, I would call it 2012, 2013 timeframe. We really started identifying this niche, which were international schools. So we really targeted the brand to be focused on selling protective accessories, protective cases for iPads, still probably 99% iPads back then, to international schools around Europe, the Middle East, Scandinavia. And that was our market. It was a niche market, but there was a lot of demand, and most of these private international schools had budget. We also probably rolled out maybe our first MacBook Air case back then as well, because we were seeing some demand for those. Mm-hmm. And then, continuing the journey in college. For my first year, I was doing an entrepreneurship degree at the university at Lancaster University, which, last I checked was a top 10 business school in the UK. So it was a good school. And, I didn't really want to go. My parents wanted me to go. We kind of met in the middle, did an entrepreneurship degree, was pushed to keep working on my business while I was in school. And, a year into it, less than a year into it, but as a freshman there, I was just, obsessed with building the business. I mean, that's all I did. Didn't really have a college experience while I was there. Was focused on building the business. I got about 20 students to help me on campus, 20 enthusiastic students that wanted the experience, wanted to help out, made some really great friendships there. Still friends to this day with a lot of the folks from Lancaster. But, story has, the way it unfolded was I ended up, essentially getting accepted into a summer program called Draper University, which was a school for entrepreneurs. It isn't an actual accredited university. It's more of a boot camp format. But there's this guy named Tim Draper, who's a big venture capitalist in the Bay Area. He's known for being like the first investor in Skype and Tesla, Hotmail, SpaceX, Baidu. He's a huge Bitcoin investor, one of the biggest.
Just a few small companies.
And,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so he started this program. I got looped into attending his third class of students, and I ended up, I started a tech startup while I was there in the summer. I won his competition. He invested in my startup at the time called Flowity, which was essentially a software as a service. It was an idea for a software as a service that would help streamline and simplify the communication that I was having with my suppliers in China, which was a big pain point for me with NutKase. So my father stepped in, kind of took over NutKase while I was starting this other business in the Bay Area. He started running it kind of as his own business with the help of my mother, who got involved as well. And they were like a mom and pop business, running it from Italy, but traveling all around the world, going to these different trade shows for international schools. I was in the Bay Area for about 2 years working on this business called Floety. That fizzled out in late 2014. Bay Area is great for everyone knows Silicon Valley is where you want to go to start a business. But nowadays that's changing a little bit. But nonetheless, if you're not the next Facebook or the next Google, attracting talent, competing with these tech companies for talent, for a CTO, for your early team, a good engineer walks into Silicon Valley these days and picks up a job the next day for $200K base salary. If you're a startup, you have to convince these people to work for free, on your business. So long story short, I didn't have the right tech team for Floety, but I came up with another idea for a tech startup called Scooterino, which is, based on the sharing economy that was exploding in the United States. Came up with an idea for a ride-sharing service like Uber, but on Vespas and motorcycles and scooters. And like I mentioned earlier, I grew up in Italy, so I was very familiar with some of the congestion and travel problems and transit issues that a densely populated city like Rome experiences.
And how's that going?
So then I moved back to Italy, started that business. We got a grant from the European Space Agency, which kind of was our seed money, and then we raised close to $1 million in funding for that business. I was running that for 3 years, and I had a really great experience. Meanwhile, my father was still running NutKase. So fast forward several years later, he's still running NutKase. Growing the business. Scooterino was an awesome experience. We did like 100,000 rides on less than $1 million budget.
Wow. Had
a really great experience running it, but recognize that, there are some inherent challenges when you run a ride sharing business. The primary one being funding. It's no secret Uber and Lyft still aren't profitable. And, they did raise however many billions of dollars, trying to apply a similar model to the European market. We were first to market in Italy, but it became clear after, several years that, if without, to continue to operate a business like this for the next decade, we would need, tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, if not more.
Wow.
So I started getting back involved in NutKase, and around 2017, my cousin Leo, who at the time was traveling around Asia, living in Australia, was working on some projects over there. He got looped into the business through my father, who part of the year would go and work remotely from Thailand. So Leo kind of joined on as our kind of later stage co-founder in the business. And he and my dad kind of teamed up, we're running it. I got looped back in because they needed support opening up the US market. And in 2018, we moved to the United States. I moved to the United States and set up our team over here. And it's just been kind of a roller coaster ride since then. One-to-one deployments are, picking up, COVID last year. We're really blessed to have been on the upside of the pandemic in terms of the demand for our products that we're selling increased, unlike a lot of other people. Unfortunately, their businesses, it's no secret, plenty of businesses suffered during the pandemic. We just got lucky. And so we had a really big year last year. We hired a whole new team in the States. And so we're picking up a lot of steam, a lot of momentum. There's some really big players in the space. And, with all the funding and attention going to schools these days, we're primed to have another rock star year. And the partnership that we have with you guys is awesome. So really excited. So that's kind of the story overview.
That's a great story. Are you an only child?
Nope. I actually have I have a sister who is also very entrepreneurial. She currently is actually, a big shout out, she's just about to launch her podcast next week.
Oh.
It's called Art Is, And I don't even know what her website is. I think it's going to probably be Art Is or something like that. But she did a double master's at Edinburgh University in art history and sculpture, and
Oh,
is
nice.
just finishing up she finished her degree last year and is just about to launch this podcast focused on young art students. Her target market for the podcast are going to be all of these art students,
Oh, that's great.
art student graduates from across the United States and in Europe, who are entering a very challenging world from an arts perspective, from what I'm hearing.
Right.
And I'm really excited. She's launching a podcast very soon, but she's an entrepreneur at heart too. So,
well, I asked you that question because I have a brother, and so I don't think we've shared this information before, Oliver. But my dad is my business partner.
Oh, really?
And I started when I was 22 years old, this insurance business. And then my brother has also been kind of in the space too, doing a little bit different, but in the transportation insurance, industry. And my dad is a half owner with him. And so the only thing my dad regretted was not having more children so he could have more businesses. So, not that he didn't have some others on his own, but he could have had even more. So anyway, we share the same kind of background, which is pretty cool.
Family affair.
Yeah. But it's nice to have the support of your family or a relative to, get you started, share their knowledge. That's something that you just can't buy, right? It's something that is just a great experience and, has been really fun. Yeah.
Oliver, so with NutKase, and all these kids this year of COVID being at home and studying at home and having these additional devices, what would you say to a parent who doesn't know about your company, or
or
kids,
a school
or
district.
a school doesn't know about your company and the value of it in terms of just reducing risk for damage and breakage? What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking to schools directly and K-12 districts, I feel like now is all this money is being spent on technology, and it's it is part of the fabric of learning these days. I mean, we're not going back. Unfortunately, in Italy, I'm pretty sure I hear there's still some blackboards in classrooms, but Italy is a little challenged, I think, with technology deployments. Unfortunately, in fact, although we had headquarters in Italy, 98% of our business takes place outside of Italy, which is a shame. But I think to schools, it's really about protecting their investment, and it's we're spending all this money giving students devices. Keeping their investment secure is our number one priority, and your number one priority.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, that's why we wanted to, partner up is to reduce the breakage and the claims.
How do you test that? How do you test your like a NutKase? How's that tested for different types of, I guess?
Well, we just had like a little company offsite recently here in Miami and I could send the video along, where we launched one of our iPads out of our off our third floor balcony with one of our cases, and it survived the drop.
Wow, that's impressive.
The case protected the iPad. No, I mean, look, when it comes to testing the product, I think there's no better test than getting IT leaders in school districts with samples of the product to beat up, test, chuck around, throw them, drop them, do whatever they want to do to them. And I think one of the things that really does make us stand out is our products. We have great volume pricing. We're designed for K-12 districts, so we know we have competitive pricing. But I do feel, from the conversations we've had over the years, that if someone with a close eye for detail examines our cases and looks at the stitching, the fabrics we're using, the reinforced plastic, the protection, and compares it to some of the others out there, we really do invest in a quality product. Like it does, everything's designed in Italy. We make them in China. We know we're paying more for our products than a lot of our competitors are. And we're proud of it. We know that the cases are designed to last, an entire educational life cycle of a student. Whether a student gets a device in 9th grade and graduates in 12th grade, our cases are made to last an entire period.
That's good to know. That's good to know.
We offer a 10-year warranty. Okay. So if something were to happen to one of the cases, we'll replace the case. And that's vital. I think having that peace of mind as an IT director, knowing that, with your great service that you guys are providing fast turnarounds on, repairs, fast turnarounds on, replacement cases, it's critical because you just can't get slowed down at scale.
Mm-hmm.
You have thousands of students, it's just speed. I think, the quality of our service and speed of our service is definitely a competitive edge, I think, in the market. But yeah, at the end of the day, the quality of the product speaks for itself. And, in a lineup, we win. We win both.
That's NutKase. Number one.
That's great. That's it. Well,
so
we're
awesome.
we're very excited about this because, it's very important for the school districts to take care of their devices because, at the end of the life of the device, they're going to want to purchase new ones. And they want to get top dollar for the devices they have, which are sold for parts or whatever. There's companies that buy those used, devices, but you want them in as, good a working order as possible and in good shape. So you can get good money to put towards your next purchase of whatever the next, greatest and latest device is.
Right.
So it just makes sense to, have a case. And we're really hoping that this, really takes off with the, partnering with you with the cases, because it's a better experience for our customers all the way around. You keep them happier. It's less repairs, it's less problems, it's less everything. But more, more experience for, the schools, the parents. It's a better experience, and you're just providing a complete service. So,
and as you were saying, Oliver, it's an investment on your protection of your device.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we have really reached almost the end of our show. I can't believe we've talked so much already.
I know, but it's so interesting, Oliver, how things got started with you, and we'll continue to watch you grow the NutKase and then see what other entrepreneurial things you get yourself into. So you have to come back and share with us.
Are you missing the Italian cuisine in Florida?
I am. I definitely am. Thankfully, I learned a few recipes. So
okay, you're going to have to share that with me, Oliver.
She wants to know.
What do you make? Tell me what you make.
I would say my go-to is a Italian pasta dish, an Italian pasta with a sausage, red sauce. That's kind of like my go-to.
That's your go-to.
So what's the secret ingredients for your red sauce? What would you say?
Oh,
come on,
they would
Oliver.
go viral. They would go viral immediately. So,
darn.
Garlic, onion, sausage, unsweetened tomatoes. So I feel like in the States, sugar's in everything these days. So you got to try and get some sort of unsweetened canned tomatoes.
Yeah. So you don't use fresh tomatoes, no fresh tomatoes. You use the canned.
I use canned tomatoes for this type of dish, but you can have, fresh tomatoes for different dishes. Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
Although my favorite new kitchen accessories is air fryer. I don't know if that's been.
Oh yes.
I don't have one, but
aren't
I hear
they fantastic? I made some coconut.
Delicious.
I made some coconut shrimp in my air fryer.
You did,
and it was really good. Yeah.
Wow.
Really good.
Amazing.
Well, if you come out to California, we'll take you to one of our favorite Italian, places and see what you think. We'll see how it measures up.
Yeah, come on over.
Yeah.
So, best website. I was going to say, what's your the website? NutKase with a K.com?
Yeah, we're NutKase with a K.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, if you're someone if you're listening to this and you're looking at potentially trying to protect devices, whether it's iPad or Chromebooks, I really think that the best thing to do is to request a free sample and let the money talk for its put money. We like to put money where our mouth is,
Yeah.
and send you a free sample, even up to 2 to 3 samples,
Great.
and try them out. Try them out for yourself. One of our sleeves, one of our rugged iPad cases, or one of our work-in, always-on Chromebook cases.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And they can also contact us, and we'll hook them up with
Perfect.
NutKase. No problem.
Thank you, Oliver.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Oliver.
Thank you guys. Really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you so
Amazing.
much. All
Have a
right.
good night.
And bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So interesting.
Isn't it?
How is he? I mean, how can he do all that stuff? It's like incredible.
I don't think he sleeps. He must not sleep. He must never sleep. There's no way. He's too busy.
Very, very, very.
Yeah, that's what's so fun
Inspiring.
about, business, in general, is just
Yeah.
the people you meet and how inspiring they can be with the things that they've done and what they're doing. And,
Mhm.
so it's really fun.
Well, and I like it that it's exactly what we're talking about how we need to, inform people, educate people about kids and their educational devices that they're using, and what a great partnership that you guys have created.
Oh yeah. And you can see he's a great guy, nice guy, hard worker, and it's been great.
That's
So far so
awesome.
good. Yeah.
So more information if you would like on NutKase. Remember, it's NutKase with a K.com. School device coverage. If you want to get more information about that or our show, Risky Business, you can email us. We're riskybusiness@coveragequeens.com. And
I think that's
we'll
it.
have a new episode for you coming up.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.